Here's an actual thing our government is spending your tax money on. $21 million for voter turnout in India. Now back to the Adam Carolla Show.
Jillian Michaels, our favorite in studios, got a podcast out, Keeping It Real with Jillian Michaels, also a fitness app taking the world by storm. Jillian Michaels is where you can go for the fitness app. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you.
So stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff for you.
Let's go.
A lot of vax stuff has been coming out. I never took a very strong stance one way or the other. I was very much, if you need it, you should get it.
Right.
My 14-year-old son doesn't need it, so he shouldn't have to get it. I don't really need it. I know many who don't need it, but I have elderly parents who should get it. And it was a pretty simple equation for me. Like within my own immediate family, I had a son and a daughter, 14, fit, thin, and healthy. And I said, I do not want them to get vaccinated because... And I think people do a like, well, how could it hurt? Well, listen, I wouldn't want them to get a vaccination or get any procedure for anything that was unnecessary.
Yeah.
So, no, unnecessary for those two. Elderly parents, yes, probably a better reason they should get it, the vaccination, than the kids. And then I moved forward, and that was about it. And then you became an anti-vaxxer, and you were called a heretic, and you're killing grandma or some version of that, and people got very animated by it. And now it turns out that there's studies.
Right.
And lo and behold, as everyone's sitting down, turns out that may be bad for you. And all I said was very early on, I said, people are going to wish they didn't get this vaccination. Now, my parents are dead. So I don't know if they wish they got it or wish they didn't. But when... my mom died 18 months into COVID, not of COVID, just she died of old age, about 18 months in. And my dad died probably 3 or 4 years into COVID or after COVID, not by COVID. But when you're collectively 88 and 91, then, yeah, go ahead and roll the dice on a vaccine that may or may not work. But when you're 14, now, that may stick with you for a while. So that's how I came down. And you guys, we need to find, too, that cow, Sotomayor, Supreme Court Justice. Remember she was up there making an argument that everyone needed to be vaccinated because there were kids on ventilators. Like, first off, can we circle back and rub some of this shit in these assholes' faces?
It's not working. I mean, you saw Birx just come out and say, actually, we should have followed the science and kids didn't need this. Did you not see this? It's like Dave Smith was furious. He came out and he's like, somebody needs to pay for this shit. Yeah. And
I was talking to Mike August about it, and it's like, who's Dave Smith? But yeah, but I get it. He was a Legion of Skank.
Nobody. Some local guy in Salt Lake, I think.
No, these people lied to our faces trying to get our kids an experimental vaccine. And nobody's accountable. Here's Sotomayor, by the way, when they went to the Supreme Court, and thank God, and by the way, to you assholes that are always like, the Supreme Court is weaponized. Well, thank God the Supreme Court leans right, or we'd all be vaccinated, or we couldn't have gone back to our work. According to the left side of the Supreme Court, that's what they wanted. But here's Sotomayor, I guess.
We have over 100,000 children, which we've never had before, in serious condition, and many on ventilators.
Yeah, listen, dumb cow. None of that's true.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
None of it.
So it's like she's breaking ground. Yes, she's the dumbest Hispanic ever to be on the Supreme Court. Yes, she's a groundbreaker. She's a fucking idiot, and she's dangerous. She wanted every one of your kids to be vaxxed, forced vaxxed. You understand?
Weren't they though? I
Yes.
had to vaccinate my kids for them to go to school.
You idiots, listen, couple things. You forced kids to do something that was unhealthy for their body, and then you also fucked their mind up by locking them out of school for a year and a half. But other than that, you love the kids. Okay. Here's all I'm saying. Maybe when the next whatever comes down the pike, maybe you sit the next one out. Maybe you don't weigh in. Maybe you don't get your crystal ball out and tell us what's going to happen on the next one. Or maybe don't argue with me when I tell you what's happening.
Okay, there's two elements to this. One is Birx, the evangelical doctor, who, by the way, Drew taught me so much about her on a podcast. They knew. She just admitted, I believe it was on Piers Morgan, that they knew kids did not need this vaccine and said, I wished we'd followed the science, something to that effect. So there are individuals that, in fact, did know kids did not need this. Now, there are a separate group of individuals, I'm assuming, like Sotomayor, who thought that they knew and bought the rhetoric without doing any homework. And went forward, shamed everybody, and said, you've got to do this because Fauci says so, or whoever Birx says so they must be right. I see this all the time with a million different things, though. Very educated, intelligent people that form complete opinions and know absolutely nothing about which they speak. All the time.
Yeah, well, especially in your industry. I mean, diet-wise, you have kooks coming out of woodwork. But yes, no, I completely agree. You know nothing.
The time.
Just humble yourself and shut the fuck up. And
All the
also,
time.
use a little kind of horse sense. You know, like I just looked around my neighborhood. We had tons and tons of kids. No one was ever sick. No one perished. No one was on a ventilator. So I was like, I've looked around. I've done my own survey.
Well, their argument was they'll give it to the grandma. It's like, well, how though? If it's a vaccine, didn't you say it would prevent transmission? I mean, we've all seen that clip of Rachel Maddow. It stops with you.
Oh, we saw it with
crazy.
Rochelle Walensky lying. Okay, they all lied about it. Fine. Now it's injurious for some people. Thank you very much. I don't know, find a mirror and stare into it, you fucking retards. But I hearken back to this clip, and I don't know if there's a date on this clip, but it's a couple of women. I just stumbled into MSNBC.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, God. Why would you do such a horrible thing?
Well, I'll tell you why.
Stumble. Ooh.
No. You can find out a lot about what's going on by like watching how people you disagree with articulate their disagreements, you know. And on a rare occasion, you'll go, oh, okay, yeah, I never thought of it that way. But mostly, it's just
to steel man yourself.
Yes, and this was probably 2022, maybe 2021. This is when they started making the push to try to get everyone vaccinated all the time. And they ran this segment on MSNBC, which was a nonsensical segment. It was two black women. One of them was a doctor. And she had long, flowing hair, kind of Angelina Jolie-esque hair. And the other had a natural sort of Florida from Good Times kind of fro, you know? And the whole story of the whole segment was how dangerous hair relaxer was to women of color. And the doctor who's explaining that it was very dangerous for women of color to use this hair relaxer because it had all these chemicals in it, had the hair going down to her lap.
Oh, my God.
And then the other one, who was tell me more doctor, had natural and did not use the hair relaxer.
Got it.
So we're already off to a dubious start.
Yeah.
For me. Read the headline and tell me what you see, Jillian Michaels.
Parabens have a greater impact on black women's risk of breast cancer than white women.
And the woman who's the doctor expert with the stethoscope around her chin looks like who? Or has hair of what?
Very relaxed hair.
Yeah.
And the one who's like, tell me more about these dangers is full fro, right?
This is true. This is true.
This is a bizarre, I mean, It'd be like talking about lung cancer and the doctor was smoking the whole time. But okay, I got past this.
Okay. You did? Because that would be where I check back out and go, nothing new going on over here.
This is why I was very intrigued.
Gosh, you dug in.
By these two.
I'm still watching.
The segment, which was presented as Black Women's and Parabens and Hair Relaxer, was actually 2.5 minutes of hair relaxer talk and then 3.5 minutes of why you needed to get your toddler vaccinated. Which I thought, I remember sitting back going, what the fuck is going on here, by the way?
Yeah.
First off, this is served up as hair relaxing conversation and now goes into get your toddler vaccinated. And that wasn't an afterthought at the end of the segment. That was the majority. The lion's share of this segment was discussion about getting your young toddler or infant vaccinated with an experimental vaccination that did them no good from the same doctor who was just telling you to stop using a flat iron on your head. But we'll hear how they get into it.
Wow.
Well, you know what? Do me a favor. Show me the beginning of the original segment, because that's what this was presented as. And if this doesn't say diabolical in bed with Big Pharma, I don't know what is, because they literally started off by just talking about hair for adults, and then they just went right into vaccinating. But here's the top. Okay. Here's how it started.
All right.
Concerning results are being reported from a new study showing that chemicals found in Black hair care and cosmetic products have a greater impact on Black women's risk of breast cancer. The study found that chemicals called parabens are responsible for the increased risk in Black women, but the same results weren't seen in white women. The parabens also promoted the spread of breast cancer cells in the body with a bigger effect in Black patients. Joining me now to discuss, MSNBC medical contributor Dr. Ebony Hilton.
We're just done processing her hair.
Completely unfamiliar with before this study, because often if you're like on the Sephora website, it will know.
All right. This is the beginning of the segment.
I have so much to say.
But then it goes right into, we'll give you the other segments. I broke into two pieces. Goes right into this, and this is a longer chunk of the section. So I don't think it's presented as this, but it's not this. So we'll listen to this. Okay. And listen how crazy this sounds in 2025.
Okay. I'm going to turn to the topic of COVID. On Tuesday, President Biden announced vaccines are now available for kids under the age of 5. I know a lot of parents out there have been waiting forever for this announcement. What do you want to tell them about vaccinating their children under 5 and how important that is?
Right. For one, I would hope they see that it did take a long time before this was rolled out, because first, safety had to be verified. And that is most important. The second thing I want them to know is oftentimes this was stated early on that kids are protected. But what we know is that 6 times the number of kids died from COVID than the flu this past year. Right. We had 600 children who are no longer with us from 2021 because of COVID-19.
Who had leukemia, bitch.
A method that you can use to help protect your child from being hospitalized and keep them alive to see next year. And there's a saying, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Keep your kids vaccinated, make sure they're wearing those masks, and practice those same mitigating factors that we've been doing now for 2.5 years.
Okay, everything's a lie. Yeah. Masks don't work. Vaxes are bad for your kids. Don't need it. Mitigating factors are, got to wipe down the Amazon box with Clorox before you bring it in the house. This bitch is wrong about everything. Everything. Jillian's making faces.
First of all, you already said it. It's by design. It's a big pharma plant. We know for a fact that Big Pharma pays at least 70% of these networks' advertising budget. So they effectively buy the narrative. Then you add the Trusted News Initiative. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay. So I had Senator Johnson on my podcast, who 5 years ago I would have thought was the devil. Now I'm like, this guy's like the great white hope. So they came up with the Trusted News Initiative to essentially script out the messaging points for the COVID vaccine. And those are those clips of all the different news anchors saying the exact same thing.
Yes.
Go.
Well, there's more. There's more if you want to keep wincing, but we'll play it out. But also, It has to be premeditated, you know.
Oh, for sure.
I'm going to talk to the doctor about relaxing her hair for 5 seconds. And then, as long as we got you, what about COVID? And then she goes into a diatribe about why you need to get your kids under 5 vaccinated. But keep going. She's got some doozies.
Get ready. Keep your kids vaccinated. Make sure they're wearing those masks and practice those same mitigating factors that we've been doing now for 2.5 years. What we do know is that COVID-19 is linked to a number of different disease processes that we can already trace. You know, they say, well, you can't tell the long-term consequences of the vaccine. Well, yes, we can.
Oh my God.
In acute time, I've got my vaccine back in December 2020, right? I was the first person at the University of Virginia. We've now been able to track persons like me to see what has happened. Has anything changed?
It's been a whole 18
but what
months.
we also know is that we're tracking people who have COVID-19, children and adults alike. And what we know is that 1 in every 5 persons who've been infected with COVID-19 now has lingering disability where their organs, their heart, their lungs, their kidneys, their brain is no longer functioning in the same way.
Pause it. 1 in 5. So 20% of people who got COVID, which is everybody, their organs are compromised. 20%, which would be millions of Americans, and forget about worldwide.
I don't even know how to respond to this. It's just bullshit. It'd be like if you told me the Earth was flat or chemtrails are real.
But all I'm saying is whether it's Sanjay Gupta talking about horse pace or this bitch talking about your organs, can we stop listening to these people?
Haven't we, though, Adam?
I guess. They're compromised. She's compromised.
100%.
She's a fucking stooge. Sanjay Gupta's a stooge. Why are we listening? They should have no careers. It should be over. Shouldn't let them anywhere near your kid.
Most people have stopped listening, though, and they are turning to alternative media without question.
But they want to know what's going on. We're going to alternative media. Why not trust us? Why not trust the journalists? Why not trust these two bitches who've been lying the whole time?
You know, it's definitely generational. My mom still believes CNN. I literally saw a meme, and it said, I went to my mom's house. I used parental controls to shut off her CNN. This is how we save America. And I sent it to my mom, and I was like, I love you. Really try to understand why this is going viral. It's the boomers. She's like, are you trying to tell me that the New York Times is bullshit? I'm like, yeah. Like, it's so hard for them to comprehend. It is like the red pill in the Matrix.
Yeah.
It is just so difficult to believe that this is all by design. And it obviously goes far deeper.
Well, there's more.
Oh, God,
There's even
Adam.
another 55 seconds. The reason it's unthinkable is it's modern times, it's a news network, it's a board-certified physician, and they're having this very sober talk about vaccinations that's all a lie and all wrong.
Have you ever...
They're trying to motivate you to do something you shouldn't do.
Have you ever tried to talk to a doctor like that and ask them what mRNA tech is?
No, they don't.
They don't know.
Yeah.
I recently sat down with Dr. Heather Hang, who's a PhD, and her husband's Brett Weinstein, and they've got a great podcast called Dark Horse.
Love me, Brett Weinstein.
Right.
Sure.
And I go, Heather, just give it to me in layman's terms. What is this? And she goes, it is by no, I'm going to butcher this, but by no previous definition of a vaccine is this a vaccine. So she explained that you have a vaccine that has live pathogen, like little bits. Then you have vaccines that have dead pathogen with adjuvants, like previously mercury, now aluminum. And then she explained that mRNA essentially is a messenger that tells our own cells to produce a part of the virus. In what universe does that sound safe and okay?
Oh, I know. And then
wait,
God forbid Robert Kennedy Jr. shows up and they're like, this wackadoodle.
Right.
This wackadoodle or these wackadoodles?
Can I say one more thing now that you bring him up? Did you see in his Senate hearing when the black senator, I believe her name was Brooks, attacked him because he had cited research that was very credible out of Europe.
Greatest.
You saw that, right?
That was the greatest.
And she goes, "Are you trying to suggest that I should be on a different vaccine schedule because I'm black?" And she was trying to imply that he's like a racist that was putting people of color's lives in jeopardy. And the research showed that black people have a more robust, it's very credible research, by the way. I reposted the research, but that black people have a more robust immune system. And since we don't know what causes vaccine injuries, should we look into, with gold standard research, whether or not they need less adjuvants or less of the pathogen? Here you have them saying, two black women saying black women are more susceptible to parabens, and they're looking out for black women. But when he does it, the implication that he's a kooky racist. It's wild.
It's so paper thin just to play the race card everywhere. And yeah, I think we can pull that clip because I remember where I was. I was in Boca Raton, Florida, and I called Dr. Drew and I was like, "Can you believe these nut jobs?" Also, we're getting back to a sort of process person. Like, he is saying that your people, your race, has a more robust immune system. So you probably shouldn't take something that may be harmful. So the answer to that would be, thank you, Dr. Kennedy, not fuck you, racist.
I know.
But they can't stop it. You can't single out anything.
He didn't make any of it up, though. It's not an opinion. He's citing incredible studies.
She's great. She's everything that's wrong with modern politics. She doesn't know what she's doing, and then people assume it's a DEI thing. Like, would she really be there? Is it the first woman of color? Like, we're getting into this again.
Yeah.
She's a dope. She looks like Sotomayor. Let me just explain something. Mazie Hirono, Sotomayor, that chick, this doctor, Karen Bass, you guys are not doing the movement any favors by putting dumb cows as your front people. You're not helping the cause. You would help the cause. We got really articulate, smart people who are sharp in those positions, but you getting Kamala Harris in that position is not helping your cause. It's hurting your cause.
Isn't that wild?
Because now young kids are going to go, I don't think black women are capable of thinking. And I'll go, son, it's not black. It's just these ones aren't good. Yeah, don't push them forward. All right, we'll play the rest of this just so you can have a seizure.
Now has a lingering disability where their organs, their heart, their lungs, their kidneys, their brain is no longer functioning in the same way that it was before they got infected with COVID-19. And when you take that developing child whose organs have not come to what it's going to be for the rest of their life, and you stress it out, and you put it on that treadmill and say, I want you to sprint. What does that do for the longevity of their life, not only in the quantity of their life and whether or not they will live a full life as we hope to live, but the quality of their life? We don't want to see that. We don't know what that's going to be for COVID-19, and we don't have to risk it because we have a vaccine.
Can you imagine?
It's so important. This information.
The truth was,
I'm like almost applauding. Over
we created this shit in a lab.
This is a pure propaganda commercial.
It's particularly unknown to us now. There's definitely.
It's a pure propaganda pitch for their sponsors.
Is madness. It's madness watching
now, Jillian, do you see why you have to watch what the other side is up to?
But you know what, Adam? I've seen it. I have seen the clip reels of Maddow lying. But I don't think she's lying. I think she's buying it.
Yes.
The ones who were lying, Fauci, Morenz, Birx, they knew.
They lied. Yeah.
They lied. Bill Gates, he knew. He
Rochelle
lied.
Walensky, CDC.
I mean, they pushed this through the emergency use, a little loophole, so they didn't have to do the necessary safety testing. And that's why they shut down any conversation about therapeutics, because if something like ivermectin worked, you couldn't push through emergency use for these vaccines. And there are obviously billions of dollars in perpetuity.
I knew this would fire you up.
It is an embarrassment of riches. It's the gift that never stops giving. 18 shots from 6 months to 18, a COVID shot every year.
Oh, but I had Merck in my portfolio, so I won.
Right?
I did learn something during your diatribe.
Go.
You can play. We'll play Senator Alsa Brooks, I guess her name is.
Oh, sorry. That's it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, this is her sounding like an idiot and him saying, well, you do want to follow the science,
Yep.
right? And she's going, no, I'd rather be offended and be a race victim here. But it's a great exchange. But it is a sort of time capsule. This is what, if people 100 years from now go, what was 2025 like? I'd say, watch this clip.
Right.
That's where we were living. Bunch of dumb cows asking stupid questions of people that were smart and then crying race all the time. So what we do is we elect women of color and we put them in these positions. And then when you disagree with them, they cry race, which is a horrible thing to do as a society. But while you're looking for that, I noticed something.
Ooh.
There was the great Gilda Radner used to do a character called Emily Patella, I think it was. Emily Patella.
I think I recall this.
Gilda Radner. You need to find a little of that because she sounds a lot like Jillian Michaels' mom. And we're going to... Emily Latella, not Patella.
Oh, God.
Emily Latella. Find a clip of that, and we're going to match her up against your mom.
My mom is a brilliant woman, but she is a boomer. And they just are not capable of watching the world as they know it melt in front of their faces.
We'll play the clip of Senator Alsobrooks. Sorry.
You said the following, and I quote, "We should not be giving black people the same vaccine schedule that's given to whites because their immune system is better than ours." Can you please explain what you meant?
There's a series of studies, I think most of them by Poland, that show that to particular antigens that blacks have a much stronger reaction. There's differences in reaction to different products by different races.
So I have 17 seconds left. Let me just ask you then. So what different vaccine schedule would you say I should have received?
Narcissist.
Oh, that bitch.
What different vaccine schedule
Look at her face.
should I have received?
I mean, the Poland article suggests that blacks need fewer antigens than
This is so
you can get the
dangerous.
same measles vaccine.
read it.
Mr.
Posted
Kennedy,
the
with all
studies.
due respect, that is so dangerous. Your voice would be a voice that parents would listen to. That is so dangerous. I will be
The
voting
truth
against
is
your nomination because
science.
your views are dangerous to our state and to our country.
Are you going to freak out or am I going to freak out?
Call him a racist.
You
by
believe that?
wasn't
Is
being
that
racist.
wild?
Put it in a time capsule. Explain to people 100
Is
years from
that
now what the fuck we were
bananas?
doing.
But of course, if a black person says that black people are more susceptible to parabens, then it's like probably the man put
you're
parabens
right.
in the product to hurt black people on MSNBC land. But we have no idea, by the way, what causes vaccine injuries.
Right.
And the reality is that they are rare, hopefully. COVID is a different animal entirely. But nevertheless, they occur. That's why in 1986, the drug companies went to the Reagan administration and said, listen, we're not going to play around in this pool unless you give us blanket immunity. It's like, well, can't you make it safer? The vaccine injuries are inevitable, and we currently don't know what causes them or why one human is more prone to them than another. Now, as a layman, one would argue, right, they're meant to stimulate an immune response. So if a black person has a more robust and healthy immune system and you're giving them too much of a pathogen or an adjuvant, which would be like the mercury, previously mercury, now aluminum, and so on, that they might potentially have a more robust immune response. Like, remember the cytokine storm during COVID? That was your own immune system going bananas. Is it possible that this could cause vaccine injuries?
Yes.
Study it. What is the harm in studying it?
There's stuff that Ashkenazi Jews have
For
that
sure.
others don't have.
100%.
And then there's sickle cell, which
Yep.
we don't have. So there's differences. So well, let's follow the science, bitch. By the way, if somebody accused me of having a robust immune system, a great vertical, and a huge dick, I'd be like, thank you. Thanks, brother. Moving on. Could you put that in writing? Thank you. I would not cry racism. All right. Well, Emily Latella. Let's see if your mom could pick up a little of this.
Okay, let me see.
I bet you could do this.
Let's see what we got.
I think you're doing Emma.
Weekend Update recognizes its obligation to present responsible opposing viewpoints to our editorials. Here with an editorial reply is Miss Emily Latella.
What's all this fuss I keep hearing about violins on television? Now, why don't parents want their children to see violins on television? Why, I thought the Leonard Bernstein concerts were just lovely. Now, if they only show violins after 10 o'clock at night, the little babies will all be asleep and they won't learn any music appreciation. Why, they'll end up wanting to play guitar and bongo drums and go to Africa and join these rock and roll outfits, and they won't drink milk. I say there should be more violins on television and less game shows. It's terrible the way things...
Miss Latella, that was violence on television, not violins. Violence.
Oh, well, that's different.
Yes.
Never mind.
No, I
Gilda
think your mom. I think when you do your mom, you channel little Emily.
Here's the difference. There would not be a never mind.
She does.
My mom would be like, but I'm telling you about the violins, honey. You gotta keep them on TV. But we're not. But the violin thing, she still thinks that Rogan believes in dragons. I'm like, no. She saw it on The View. She's like, that guy you guys love, because my son and I will always listen to Rogan in the morning on the way to school. And she's like, doesn't he believe in dragons? I'm like, I finally was like, yeah.
Yeah, he rides one. That's how he gets to work.
Like, it's crazy. They think if it is on a form of legacy media that previously was very esteemed, there's no concept whatsoever that it could be completely captured and corrupted. It's too hard to unwind.
Well, also, you've invested like so many years in this thing. And, it's kind of, here's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
People kind of say, or you go like, oh, you lost a lot of money on this stock or this home or this apartment complex or something. And they go, you only lose the money when you sell. As long as you don't sell. I mean, you could have bought stock for $100 and it's now down to 1 nickel. But if you don't sell,
it's not a recognized
you really
loss,
didn't recognize the loss,
right.
And your mom doesn't want to sell. Okay, and as long as you don't sell, you don't recognize the loss, even though we all know that was a blue chip stock and now it's a penny stock, but you're not selling because you're hanging on to some belief. But you never really have to take the loss until you sell. Could be anything. Could be real estate, but the loss is really technically when you sell, and she's not selling.
No, she is not selling, and you can send her information. Like, you could show her that clip, and she'll still tell me, well, the vaccine works. I'm like, where are you getting this from? And she'll find an article from 2021.
But I think, pardon me, but I think at the end of the day, it's a kind of a narcissism. Like, are we not willing to entertain the notion that you may have been wrong about some stuff? Because that's kind of what all we're saying is let's entertain the thought that you got duped and you picked the wrong horse and that you were wrong about things.
With her, it's not that. It's just that I truly believe it is too terrifying for her to really understand what's going on. Like, when you look at, like, she sent me this one article about the efficacy of the vaccine, and it mentioned the Virality Project. Are you familiar with this?
No.
Okay. So Bill Gates funded through Stanford something called the Virality Project, which was designed to seek out vaccine hesitancy on the web. That is the brief that went to the Biden administration and directed who, what, and how to censor people online. I had a woman named Brianne Dresden who wrote a book called Worth a Shot, who was injured during the AstraZeneca trial, educate me about this entire thing. She's suing the Biden administration over it. Bill Gates obviously has gazillions invested in the tech and the drug companies. So my mom sees that Bill Gates has funded this, and to her, the article makes him out like he's an angel trying to protect people. And look at this, look what they've done. He even put together this project to source out like vaccine hesitancy to save lives on his own dime. I'm like, Mom, like there's no universe where she can see that this guy is part of the axis of evil, that this was by design, that he's heavily invested in this, that this is all gain of function research. It just, no, it's too scary. I'm serious. I really think for her to know that the entire system is rigged. And then when you see him trying to censor people and to go after the First Amendment, if you really believe that your government is trying to do that, I think it's deeply, deeply disturbing. And for her, it's like, no, it's got to be for our own good because it's mentally too much to handle. For the other people, I do agree. For the majority, it's like, I'm doubling the fuck down. I want men in sports. I want sex changes for 5-year-olds. I mean, the Democrats are fucking bananas. You saw that clip with, I'm sorry, I dropped that bomb again. The clip with,
we like it.
Oh my God, Trump and the governor of Maine.
Yeah.
Who's like, no, I'm going to fight you and I'm going to see you in court, and boys or whatever she wants, trans girls will play in sports. And Trump is like, you lost.
Right.
Nobody wants it, you fool.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you there is a thing, because I had a real progressive hippie mom. First, right under the veneer of peace and love is rage, number one. Number two, you cannot defy them. It's just a battle. Just everything's about. They just dig in. It's just a battle.
Right.
They take everything to the grave. You'll never hear words like, you know what, I got to rethink this one, or maybe you're right, or I feel differently than I guess everyone else does, because I don't feel like they don't do any of that. All there is outward rage. There's never reflection. All right. We got some news, by the way, which Jillian will be equally as animated about.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump right in. In a dramatic shakeup for Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass has dismissed Fire Chief Kristen Crowley, citing her inadequate handling of last month's catastrophic wildfires, among the most destructive in California's history.
I love it when they turn on each other.
Yeah.
That's great.
If Crowley chooses to appeal her filing, she'll need 10 of the city council's 15 members to vote with her to succeed.
Well, it's weird because I went to a thing at the Kings games, like the salute to the heroes, and it's like, look, hanging back and watching your entire state burn to the ground, it's awesome, but I don't know. Hero is more guys rushing into the building at 9/11, not guys who never prepared for a building that was going to collapse for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is, hello, everyone. You guys didn't do any of the countermeasures that would have prevented this. And then we had a shit show.
That's the big thing. Bass called out Crowley for sending home 1,000 firefighters the day the fires broke out. And Crowley's alleged refusal to do an after-action report.
What I don't get is, all I heard for 2 days or 3 days coming in is we're going to have big winds, and big winds means big fire.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting in my SUV going, all right, well, I hope they must have gotten the message, because I'm getting the message every 20 minutes on the radio.
Right, exactly. Set up a command. Again, I'm sorry, I don't want to take credit for other people's words, so I'm going to say, I don't know if you've seen Mike Schellenberger talk about this, but he's like, they knew on January 2nd, that we were going to have these crazy winds. Bass leaves, I believe, on January 4th. He goes on to talk about the fact that at that point, Newsom should have already reached out to other states, Mexico, Canada. Can we borrow your firefighters? He should have pre-positioned people. He should have made sure all the ducks were in a row. There should have been a protocol to evacuate people. None of that was done. None of it.
Yeah.
And that's just step one in the long list of screw-ups.
Yeah, but let's get, psychological about it for a second. I have just realized, and any one of us will know how this works when you have a relationship. There's things that are nuts and bolts and boring with just you and your partner. Like you go, oh, we should get one of those automatic shutoffs for the gas in case there's an earthquake that shuts. And they go, I don't know, you do it. I don't know. Like it's not sexy. It's not interesting. And by the way, they're not going to a cocktail party and going, guess who just got an automatic shutoff for the gas line in case there's an earthquake? Like nobody cares. And it makes sense in that we'll reverse engineer it. I love all the nuts in the bolts. You know what I mean? I love the preparation stuff. I used to do earthquake rehab work. I understand how to rehab a building for earthquakes. And I know how this stuff works. And I find this stuff interesting. Now, what I find not interesting at all is that, everyone is free to love in California, and we all need to sit at the table. No one's illegal. No child should ever go to bed hungry. I go, yeah, okay, fuck off. I don't have that doesn't mean anything. But I do want to get in and rejet the carburetors in a race car or something like that. I like the nuts and the bolts. Like, I like that stuff. These people, Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom and many other like-minded folks around the country that are in positions of power have expressed zero interest in the nuts and the bolts. They're not. I've heard them talking about gay rights and LGBT community and children and LGBT community and, all their euphemistic access to this and that and all their seat at the table and stuff. I've not heard anything about water or volume or aqueducts or whatever. And I'm not, it's not even a knock on them. They're not interested. That's not what they're interested in. What they want is to sit and talk about feelings and about inclusion and equity and all this stuff, which is fine. But don't expect them to be Johnny on the spot when the shit goes down because they're not. Because they're not interested in it. She wanted to go to Ghana to do a photo. Now, look, if someone said to me, let's, again, reverse engineer.
Okay.
Mayor Adam. Yeah. I want you to go to Ghana. For what? You gotta put on a ceremonial headdress and we're going to take pictures of you pretending to dance with folks from Ghana. I'd go, oh, that sounds fucking miserable. And they go, yeah, but we'll get some pictures. I don't want you to take pictures. What am I going to do? You're going to go there. You're going to meet the mayor of Ghana. They're going to present you with a ceremonial headdress. Right. Then you put it on. Then we shoot B-roll of you dancing with kids. I go. Let's go fuck with the aqueducts. I don't want to do that. And they go, well, you're going to Ghana. I go, how long's the flight? They go, well, 26 hours. To do what? To take pictures of you with the ceremonial headdress on, dancing with the mayor of Ghana, and then a bunch of village kids. And I'd go, well, that sounds miserable and doesn't feel like it would do anything, and I'm not interested. Now, I'm not. Now, my mom would be horribly interested in it. She would love it. And if I told her, we're going to cancel the trip to Ghana, and we're going to do a field trip up to the aqueducts to check the cracks and to see why they're not at capacity, my mom would go, fuck that, I'm going to Ghana. Because she has no interest in that. And by the way, I know tons of women who would just be like, I don't want to look at aqueducts, I want to go to Ghana. Most women I know would do that. Right. So we just elected someone who thought it'd be cooler to do that than to hang out here and talk about clearing the brush.
Well, okay.
And now we got a bunch of those people. California has Gavin Newsom.
Right.
He's very Ghana bound. That's what he's thinking about is that.
He's thinking White House.
He gives speeches and he talks about nothing other than coming to California and being free to love.
Yes.
So he doesn't get into like, look, we're building a bullet train. It's going to cost this much per mile for this train. Here's what we're behind. But here's what they built in Tokyo. It costs this much a mile. We should be able to get, no. It's just good vibes. Good vibes, good vibes. So why would the outcome be any different than everything just being burnt to the fucking ground?
Yeah. I think you're being too kind. And the reason I think you're being too kind is because we know this is an issue. This has happened numerous times before.
Your house burnt down.
2018. Right? By the way, the one I sold in 21 when I moved to Miami, gone. So the 2 homes I owned in Malibu, within 5 years, both destroyed. So, okay.
By the way, remember when I lent you that cordless drill? And you're like, I'm going to give it back to you, Adam.
You did?
And then the house burnt down.
Did you remember that?
Yeah, you kind of.
You don't remember that? He's been sore about it this whole time. When they said you were coming in, he was like, "Oh, my drill."
Shut the fuck up.
It was a Milwaukee 19 volt.
No way.
Spare battery keyless
Why would I
chuck.
take the drill?
He keeps mentioning
I didn't take the drill.
It's gone.
It's gone.
No
It
way.
went in the
Rest in
fire.
peace,
This
Milwaukee.
is bullshit.
You don't have to buy me a new one.
I do have an Alzheimer's gene. I have an ApoE4 gene.
I'm kind of out of a
I was
drill.
like,
I'll let you off the hook for
can I
that
take
one.
this fucking drill?
There's a Home Depot right up the street if you got. Look,
When did
you
I
don't
take
have,
the drill?
I lent it to you. You said, I promise to have it back. Then the fire came. And
my lawnmower.
No, my shot. I took the drill. No
I don't have
way.
a drill anymore.
All right, get out
All
of here.
right, I'll do stuff by
Get
hand.
out of here.
I'll do stuff by hand.
Wait, come on. I'm saying that fucking I'll send you a gold drill, bitch. I swear to God.
I'm out of the
Diamonds
drill.
on
That's
the
all I'm
handle.
saying.
All right.
Obviously, after the fire, that was the last year. That was the last year concerns, and I didn't want to be insensitive and ask you for the drill back after the fire, so I stood back. But it's been a long enough amount of time, and the app is doing well, and the fitness app.
Okay. You sure that was me?
Yeah,
For sure it was
in
you.
more lesbian firefighter news, authorities are investigating a case involving a woman now suspected in the fatal stabbing of her wife, a Southern California fire captain.
Oh, this one's
Yolanda Marodi, 53, has been on the run in the wind since authorities named her as the prime suspect in the brutal killing for 49-year-old wife, California fire captain Rebecca Marodi, last week.
I gotta tell you, man, when they get the short cropped hair, they put the tie on and the jacket, it's kind of hard to tell if that's a chick or a
I'd
dude.
be like,
but-
what's up, bro?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for your service, sir. Yeah, and now the funny thing about this story, not funny, I should say, the terrifying thing about this Yolanda Marodi has already did time, was sentenced to 13 years and 8 months in prison for voluntary manslaughter on her ex-husband.
Whoa.
Yeah, this is the exact same MO that she pulled on Rebecca, found stabbed to death in her home with a
cordless drill, I heard.
I was just going to
Milwaukee.
say, are you sure you didn't give her the drill?
I got a pretty good memory for tools and who I lent to. But anyway.
Yeah, so that she's on the run.
What?
She's on the lam. If you've seen this woman, call the cops.
What percentage of Americans have killed their husband and their wife?
I mean, that's a Dateline special.
Yeah.
You get a Dateline out of
That's
that.
a special class of citizen right there.
I mean, a lot of people have killed their husband, and a lot of people have killed multiple husbands, and a lot of husbands have killed multiple wives. Yep. But
It's like
who
a rare badge in a video
has
game.
killed
Really gotta
both?
earn. I mean, that's
You killed a husband and your wife.
Yes.
I just don't get it. How do you get another bite at the apple?
Yeah, I
You
don't
kill
know.
the first one, and they're like, "Okay, you're good."
Well, I think it goes into Adam's, what he was talking about earlier, some little lesbian hate of men there, where she believed, oh, you just killed that bad man because he was bad. I'll take you in. You're the
She
perfect
probably
wife.
did the burning bed, defense. So sort of he was abusive, misogynistic, and blah, blah, blah. And then the woman now knew, identified with that when that's never going to happen with us.
Right.
I'm guessing.
And meanwhile, she beat the shit out of her until she stabbed her to death again, just like her ex-husband.
Wow.
Oh, really?
No, I just made that up.
God damn
I'm
it.
just
Do I
thinking
have
of
the drill or not?
Yeah.
It's gone. It melted in the fire. I didn't want to burn you. Obviously, you had so much more to think about at the time, but I think it's been long enough. It's been 5 years or more. Yeah, it's been 18. Yeah. It's been 7 years, so I just...
On to
thought I'd
real
bring it
estate
up.
news. Fire-ravaged Pacific Palisades lot hit the market at up to $3.95 million.
A lot hit the market?
3.9? Yeah, 3.9.
Just a lot.
Just a lot. A scorched plot of land also in the Pacific Palisade neighborhood just sold for $1.18 million, nearly $200,000 over asking price.
So,
despite being just ashes.
But can you smell it? Is the when
Kamala
you're there?
says you can smell the despair
Yeah.
in the air.
The smoke that had once been there. Look at that. Bananas.
I wonder how big a lot it was. Does it
Yeah, well, we don't have the post, but I'm assuming it's one of those right there.
That is the game, though. The game is, sorry, but at the end of the day, it's going to be extraordinarily difficult to rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to, and you got to pay your mortgage on the house that just burned to the ground.
Yeah.
While paying for temporary housing until that's done, which is going to be years.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about the permits. I spent a year just getting a permit to clean the property and was so fed up I sold it.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you during in this is 2018.
Yeah.
Shortly before I lent you the drill. I'm sorry, but it was a Milwaukee. It was a 19 volt, and it had a spare battery and a keyless chuck.
Yeah.
And a drill index too. There's different drill bits on there.
Flashlight on the bottom.
There's
I remember that drill.
This happened. I would have to go. This is bullshit. I want you guys to know.
A magnetic cartridge with a number 2 screw tip in there because I said drill the pie hole first and then put the screw tip in and sink the screw.
You
After
hung
that, I
your
gave you the
TV with
No,
it.
no. I had a handyman who had his own drill, which may have burned at the house, but nevertheless.
All right. Milwaukee 19 volt. All right. Anyway, the point is with the carrying case. Anyway, look, my dad gave it to me. It's one of the last gifts he gave me. But it's all right. It's gone. There's a Home Depot up the street. You know.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just move forward. Okay.
This is a lie. There's no drill. I'm sure of it. If I go back in time, the first time I did this show, I believe was the first time I got to meet you in person. And that was post 2018.
No.
Yes,
You don't
100.
remember correctly.
There's no
Reality
shot. I
Log,
took the drill.
Milwaukee drill,
I mean,
100%.
No,
You asked
this
for the
is
drill.
bullshit. No.
Yeah, with a big smile on your face.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because I remember you told me you called a guy from TaskRabbit and he showed up with a Black & Decker and you were super pissed. And I said, you should step up to Milwaukee.
Homo. There's no way. Because I could definitely see that another lesbian would probably know how to use the drill, but I have de-evolved because I can hire.
Yeah, you said the TaskRabbit guy showed up with
No. This guy worked for me for years. No, I'm going to call him on the phone. No.
No.
It's not true.
Conservatives say good riddance to Joy Reid's MSNBC show as liberals slam the network shakeup.
Hold on a second. So it took you a year to try to get a permit to clean up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took a year.
Yeah, they don't.
A year to get a permit. So you couldn't. Okay. So at that point, I said, all right, that's it. We're not going to rebuild. This is going to take years to design the house and permit the build. I'm going to take the insurance. I was very well insured, thank God. I'm going to take the insurance money for the house. I'm going to sell the land.
Were you up in the hill or on the
We
coast?
were a half a mile in from Zuma Beach on Bonsall Drive.
Half a mile in, meaning up the hill?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So half a mile in from PCH.
Up the hill.
Across the street from Zuma. And so I went to my neighbor who did not lose their house, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, he gave me my jigsaw back because he said it didn't melt, and he said
picked it up. Yeah,
he said I have something called dignity, and I remember he returned that to
you
me.
guys are fleecing me for $180. Where's Mike? This is Mike's racket. I know Mike is behind this.
Well, it's $180 for the Milwaukee 19 volter, but remember I had the drill index in there too, and the screw cartridge with the number 2 tip. But
you're going to get a drill. I just want you to know. And when you do, you're going to be like, I feel like a dick. She never took the drill. I'm going to send a drill. You will receive a drill. I'm going to gift wrap that shit. You will be getting a drill.
I will go right to Habitat for Humanity and throw up some homes if I ever get a drill from you. And it'll be great to be reunited with my drill. Even if it's a separate drill, but I get it, same make. So it took you. They're never going to let us rebuild because.
No way. No.
The greatest power the government has, like everyone kind of goes, well, what is it? Is it taxes? Is it parking tickets? Is it, school vouchers or something? It's the permit process.
Yeah.
The permit process is you say to the government, may I do this stuff on my own land, and may I pay you for the opportunity to do it? And they go, we're going to think about it.
Yeah.
But don't hold your breath.
That's right.
And then everyone who has no incentive to help you or to expedite this process or to do anything just bends you over and sticks it to you. And they just go, that's it. And they just have dominion over you. And there's nothing you can do. It's totally frustrating. And you just go, all I'm trying to do is do work on my own property that I pay property taxes on to you. And they go, not so fast, champ. And then they go take a break and they sit down. And that's the process. And there's no you going across the street to some alternative whatever. There's some versions of things where, like, you want to get clear at the airport, and it's security, but it's also privatized, and so you can go to a local kiosk or something. You know, this is all government all the time. The biggest bureaucratic mess and the biggest pencil pushers. It's all in the permit property. It's all in the plan check. It's all there. And it grinds things to a halt, and it's everything that's wrong with big government. And you never experience it as long as you're renting apartments and working at Starbucks. But when you get something and you go in and talk to these people, you will learn to despise this big government. And California has completely snowballed out of control in that department. And they claim to sort of go, you know, it's like a tiger saying to a gazelle, no, move into my cage. I've gone vegan. And the gazelle's like, really? Oh, yeah, I'm different. But you ate my mom. Yeah, I know, but that was the old me.
I'm changed.
Yeah, I'm changing.
Found God.
I'm changed.
Yeah.
Even if the tiger thinks he's changed, how long is that tiger going to sit in that cage with that gazelle before he devours it?
It's big money, though.
They can't stop themselves.
It is big money.
That's where we're at right now.
One of the reasons they wanted... or they made us wait a year is because then they turned around and they're like, well, the city may have to do the cleanup. File with us if you want the city to do. So the game was you can't hire somebody independent. The city wanted your insurance money to do the cleanup.
Oh, right.
That was the trick. And I was like, oh my God.
And remember, Kamala Harris, at the beginning of the show, she didn't say anything about expediting the cleanup or expediting the permit process or getting a team in here to start rebuilding. She's like, it smells toxic-y. And like smokers, like smoky and toxic. She said it smells toxic. You know what I mean? Oh, that's all they're saying. It's like, we got to slow it down. Meanwhile, it rains and it all just drains into the ocean. All your toxic shit you're worried about.
It's so bad.
It's all killing the fishies.
Yep. It's bananas how bad it is. It looks like a war zone.
I know.
It truly is dystopian. It's hard to believe until you're physically there and you see it with your own eyes, and it doesn't compute. It's bizarre.
I mean, you guys can find the clip that I put out last week or the week before, but you can see it's I don't know what it is, a 30-second, whatever. I released my whatever, but I don't need the whole thing. But 2 months ago, Trump was up there going, hurry up.
There's no plan.
And
nothing.
Mayor Bass was like, but safely. It's like, no, not safely. Hurry, let people clean their land. And she was like, we're going to do that. We're going to. No, you are not. You have no intention.
There's no plan.
By the way, you can't do it. It's not in your DNA. You're not practical. You're a talker. You're not a doer.
There's no one in charge in Malibu. So
that's right.
Nobody. There's like an interim person and nobody knows what to do. And Malibu's essentially an island because we just had the Franklin fire on the other side.
I had to evacuate 3 weeks earlier. I said to my assistant before I went in there, I go, is there some website that you could go to? And she's like, there is a website. And I go, is there anything on it? Updates? Anything? She's like, no. Like, okay.
No, there's no plan. And that's what they were telling me, is that there's no one in charge. There's no one running the show. Oh, here you go. Yeah, there's no plan. No one knows what to do.
Yeah, this is...
And it looks exactly the same as it did January 9th.
This is 2 months ago. This is 1 month ago?
Yeah,
or 2
1 month.
1 month
ago.
ago. Okay, sir. Play it.
And the number one thing that we are going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't
Yes,
cost
and
a
they
lot.
can.
I just think you have to allow the people to go on their site and start the process tonight.
And we will.
Well, Mayor Karen Bass, you can pause it there.
Yep. There you go.
And we will. And we will like never, or and we will like you're lying, or
There's no process.
if the president
There's no
of the
way to
United
even
States
begin.
going, I want people to go out on their property, I want to clean and dispose of the garbage, and you go, and we will.
Right.
Except for you will not, and you have no intentions of it, and it's never going to happen. And then the floods came, and it's all in the ocean
Are
now.
you hearing imminent domain? Because I'm hearing that. I'm hearing
Oh,
that
really?
they may not let people rebuild.
Well, never let a good tragedy or disaster go to waste. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what happened with COVID. They're like,
Right.
oh, let's see if we can get Trump out of here and get this mummy Joe Biden installed because we got a little something called COVID. Well, that's going to work
Right.
it, man. So, yes, whoever wants to do whatever they want to do, they never state what they want to do, which is this, I want full command over you and everything you do all the time. And I really don't even like rich people or people that own property. I'd like us to own it and we can see if we'll lease it back to you, but they never can say it. So what they say is, and we want people to come in and rebuild as fast as possible.
Right.
Now, Trump is not a process guy. Trump's a commercial builder. So his mind's going, let's go. And Karen Bass is sitting there going, I wish I was back in Ghana.
Yep. What do you think Newsom's thinking, though? Because this kind of circles back to, I just don't like to do it. I have to call bullshit on that because I can point to specific bills that landed on his desk that passed with broad consensus across all the legislative bodies in California. For forestry management, Bill AB 2330 was one, and he vetoed it.
Yeah. Well, I should say...
Sign. You're
doesn't-
done. The work is done.
He doesn't have an interest in it, and he has much greater interest in the sort of good vibes club. And
Adam, sign it. Who gives a shit what you have interest in? It's the work is done for you. Why did he not sign it?
She's getting pressure from environmental groups.
And what they
Who
want to do,
don't
like
want
they
that.
want to. What is that bill? They wanted to trim the
forestry
forest.
management.
Environmental groups think you intervening in any way.
Yeah, but we
It's
have
like you
humans living here.
But they also, listen, if you want to cut your son's dick off,
Yeah.
no problemo. But let's not intervene in the forest now. That's how they work it.
So what are they? Na'vi? Are they some type of forest creatures? These people?
It
There's a
depends on the issue.
Right.
I mean, literally, it's like all the smelt fish. Oh, the supporting the people who
There's
grow
a-
shelled nuts. Like, there's all different kinds
I
of
love
elements
animals
contributing
more
to
than
this.
most people, and I
But
think that, man,
we always did control
there was
birds
like
growing
milk.
up here.
They didn't want to hurt the milkweed.
Wow.
Yeah, because the
Remember
mark,
that? I
butterfly.
remember, yeah.
But the reality is that you gotta call bullshit on that because anybody with a brain, the 3-year-old bellowing on your plane, could
Yeah.
put together that these fires
Yeah.
release more carbon,
It's gonna, yeah.
more toxic shit,
Oh,
the
that-
mattress that melted.
Yeah.
I mean, forgot all that stuff. That goes into the air, rains on the crops in the middle of the state, drains off into the ocean. It doesn't take a genius. So what's actually going the fuck on?
I know. Well, now we're getting into, is there some sort of evil
I don't want to go down that
motivation?
road, but it
More
does not
stupidity,
make
sort of.
sense.
I agree, but also Karen Bass is fucking dumb.
Yeah, that's what I
And a
mean,
lot of these
yeah.
people are just dumb.
Newsom's not dumb. He's
No,
a
Newsom's not
sociopath.
dumb. He's
You
not
said
dumb.
it, and you're right.
He is. He's a sociopath. The other people are just kind of...
But Adam, he's the tip of the spear.
I agree. All right. Mayhem, I want to hear those other stories tomorrow because
All right.
they're so good. But Jillian's so passionate.
we love it.
I love it too. It's Keeping It Real with Jillian Michaels, and then also the fitness app, which you should definitely explore as well. And you can go to website, JillianMichaels.com, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be in San Luis, but that's selling out. But Monterey, there's tickets left for, and that's Saturday at the Golden State Theater, and then Uptown Theater in Napa. But you can go to amcrow.com for all the live shows. Jillian, always great to see you, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'll just kind of.
You drill. Fuck off.
I'm just going to put my nose against the glass.
Drill.
The Home Depot's right up the street. It's walking
line
distance.
is drill. Oh my God.
Until next time, I'm Grover, Jillian, Drill Stealing Michaels, and Mayhem Miller saying mahalo.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me.